Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guests on this next interview. Now, the European Commission is advancing a major defense policy shift with this white paper on the future of European defense. A key element is the upcoming omnibus package aimed at streamlining regulations, boosting military production, and enhancing cooperation among member states. These efforts could reshape Europe's defense landscape, impact NATO relations, and strengthen strategic autonomy. Joining us today on TVP World to discuss the implication of this initiative is Krzysztof Jaworski, Deputy Director at the Institute for Security and International Development. Now, as a specialist in European security policies, he has extensively researched defense integrations, transatlantic relations, and military-industrial cooperation, so provide critical insight into the future of European defense strategy. And welcome to TVP World. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So this white paper, a lot of people have been paying a lot of attention to what's the European defensive strategy going forward. I think before having this concrete document, a lot of talks were pretty much very buzzword heavy and then reaching the conclusion of we need to spend more. Do you think this white paper does give us a more kind of concrete, solid approach when it comes to European defense?
It does, and it is significantly speed, significantly faster for European Union to prepare concrete propositions already. It is good that we moved from just buzzwords and declarations to concrete work. However, I think that we need to observe it and wait for next steps and real actions, because we have several important news this week. For example, in Germany, the change to the constitution is a very important step. And now we need to wait for investments, for decisions, and for buying several European products, new arms, because it is the most important thing there to be market for these companies which are going to produce these things, because these companies need to have this market and they need to have money to their business to be effective.
All right, so I understand it a little bit more now, because there are so many different moving pieces and individual countries are still passing their legislation, changing their constitution, kind of changing their strategy. Perhaps this is one of the reasons why it's a little bit more, takes a little bit more time to come up with something coherent. But in which stage do you think right now is European defense, where they're talking about perhaps integration or coming together with a cohesive strategy that everyone can work together towards?
So there are some important things. First thing is that European countries already have several highly advanced military production. However, it is not in the strict cooperation many times. So to make it more effective, there is need to consolidate this. I'm not talking about creating one entity for the whole European Union, but more cooperation and choosing fields of specialization will be really useful. So it's one thing. Another thing is that we have this production, as I mentioned, but the scale is the problem. So we have to scale up production of things like munition, which already is there. European Union made significant steps forward in this field. However, more is needed. Russia is still producing more munition each year than European Union. And next thing is advanced technologies, technologies of the future, or technologies on which we are critically dependent on the United States. And there, dependent on the area, it is possible having knowledge, having engineers, having already existing production, to create European self-capabilities there in the short term, in some areas, like maybe 3 years, but in some areas, like satellite communication, it is much harder, it is a bigger challenge, and 10 years or more will be needed according to most analysis.
Now, this defense white paper also mentioned an omnibus package that's supposed to simplify some defense regulations. Currently, as it stands, what are some of the things that has been bounding the European Union, and once unbound by this omnibus package could bring a more robust defense when it comes to the EU collectively?
It's really important because for some technologies, for some products, they are really new when the process of certifying them starts. But then at the end of the process, there are at best like newly technologies or even already old technologies. So it is very important to make this process faster, to make this process easier between different European countries. And as we are talking about advanced technologies, because this certification is mainly about them, we have to look at countries where these processes already took part and what's worked. And for United States, for example, we remember that Silicon Valley started from this cooperation between military and industry, and there were DARPA, Defense Advanced Projects Research Agency. So I think it is of high importance for European Union to create a mechanism similar to this. And in white paper, it is mentioned that it is not about only public spending, but at the same time, it's about incentives for private investors, which I think is really important because public agencies, they tend to avoid risk, because they have to, at the end of the year, tell what they use their money for. And venture capital, which is mentioned in white paper, is, I think, a really interesting way of incentives for having more innovation in military in European Union.
Yeah, it does seem like the innovation a lot of times does come from the private sector too. So the white paper's idea of integrating that, I think it's another sign that they're also pushing forward with technological innovations. Now, how robust is the economic side of things when it comes to European collective defense, when it comes to this white paper? Did it mention anything about how to incorporate the money side of things, the economic side of things, in order to make sure the defensive plan works?
I think that if we compare it, for example, to Green Deal, which is another big project by European Union, and it made a lot of impact on how energetics in European Union looks like now. But it was a process which took several years. So if we compare it to this defense sector, I think that European Union proved already that it has tools to has strong impact at economics, at industry. But this white paper is just the beginning. There needs to be the specific tools, like this optimization of regulations we already discussed, like creating mechanism for incentives for money flows, both from public and private spending. We don't have specifics information yet, but looking at how fast it's happening now, I hope it will be presented in the following months.
And how are the European member states kind of taking this proposal? How are they responding to it? Is there like a broad political consensus to it?
Well, it's discussed, of course, because it's discussed internally in each state. We mentioned Germany already. Some parties are really supporting this new way of, this change of constitution. However, AfD, for example, is calling it catastrophe.
Yeah.
So I think it's too early to amend, to assess whether it will work effectively, because in each country there will be strong discussion between political parties, and we need to observe it closely.
Right, but with the current security situation on the brink, do you think that the public consensus will be more favored towards it?
I see this shift. I think that from the beginning of second Trump's term, this public opinion shift is significant. It's because of US moves. Less people believe that we can rely solely on US guarantees. More people think that we need to take care of our own defense. And I think it's a good way of thinking, because if you are not dependent on someone else, whoever it will be, you can choose what you are going to do. You can make your strategy more on your own and in your own interest. So I think it is a good step. And from what we've seen till today, this process is fast, and I hope it will keep this way.
All right, so strategic independence isn't just a buzzword. It is something that the European Union is going towards. Thank you so much for your input and insight. Really appreciate it. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.